Hey, welcome back to the channel. Digital PR is rapidly becoming the poster child for the future of SEO and link building. So I wanted to sit down with a digital PR expert to get his takes on the future of digital PR, SEO, and to get the tactics that are working right now.
The easy link is just dead. The easy story in digital PR is just basically gone.
With that in mind, I had a chat with Karim Adib. Karim is fatjoe's digital PR manager. He's been running our own digital PR for over a year now and has spoken at Brighton SEO, Up North, Sheffield DM, and more. Right, let's get stuck into the interview with Karim's top 3 trends and predictions for digital PR and SEO in 2025 and beyond. Great, so today I've got with me Karim Adib. Thanks so much for joining me, Karim.
Hi, Dan. Always a pleasure.
Thank you very much. And then we'll be talking through your top 3 trends and predictions for digital PR in 2025. So if you want to go ahead and kick us off with your first hot take.
Yeah, it was really exciting topic. I think it was very hard for me to just limit to 3, especially in our industry. There's always hot takes going around. But the first one, which is something I'm noticing, and I think a lot of people in the industry are noticing, is the easy link is just dead. The easy story in digital PR is just basically gone. For you to land coverage in the modern age, you need a lot more strategy and a lot more thought behind what you do. A few years ago, you could literally just create a story based on researching a few hashtag numbers and then making, oh, this is the most hashtagable or Instagrammable city in the UK, and you could land several regional titles with that. But as with everything, great marketers tend to pick up on what's working and tend to use it into oblivion, and then it no longer works. And if you tie that with even more PRs popping up, so there's more competition, and there's even less journalists now in the UK than there was 2, 3, 4, 5 years ago, then you have a combination of things that just makes it so your story needs to be a lot more airtight for people to cover it. And if you add the ever-growing additional layer of publications having a no link policy now, it becomes a case of, well, is it ever possible to land a link? Are links completely dead? And I think the question,
so looping in there, obviously I saw with Reach PLC there was the big change where I think a subset of publications were filling up a lot of digital PR's reports and a lot of, well, we secured these guys. So I think once one big network changes, as we've seen, then that's definitely fueling what you've seen in kind of the link drop off, both more difficult to get coverage, and then when you do get the coverage, getting the links out of them is changing quite a bit, isn't it, really?
Yeah, a few months ago, we had our first email from a journalist basically saying, oh, sorry, I can't link, because we obviously got the coverage, we can pick it up very quickly. We realize it's a brand mention, and so very thankful, very good, but then could we transform it into a link? Usually journalists are very open about it, and sometimes it's either they can't do anything about it, or it's just like been left in post in some form of way, so they'll go back and edit it. But this time we were like, no, we have this new policy. And this was obviously like a very scary thing for a lot of people. But then since then, we've had a lot of links on these various publications in Reach PLC. So I don't think it's a blanket statement. It's just another way these publications are trying to push back on bad stories that are irrelevant, just done for link building purposes, just getting links for the sake of it, and then de-incentivizing journalists from picking up these stories. So I think an editor will now ask more from the journalist, and so the journalist is basically asking more from a PR. So I would say if anyone is pitching a PR story nowadays, while back a day you could just find any decently workable idea and pushing it, I would say if that's your approach to PR, then just don't waste your money and don't do PR at all. Because you have to have, there's a certain threshold now that has been set by the industry and by the publications where your story kind of has to meet 3 different pillars, where it's like it has to be very timely, it has to be relevant to them covering it now, it has to be interesting to a really wide number of people, because our KPIs are increasing, but so are the journalists' click KPIs. So they need more eyeballs on the story. So they needed to appeal to a lot of people and appeal to them now. And third of all, it also has to be tied into your client in some form of way. The days of hay fever by gambling clients are long gone, because editors are a lot more aware now of what PRs are trying to do. And so if you are trying to sneak in your casino gambling.com client into a story that has no relevance to it, it will just get ignored and it will not get picked.
But that's obviously on our end sort of also providing quite a good opportunity, because if you are then getting your clients coverage in those stories, you're positioning them as an expert, and it's going to be field relevant, it's going to be industry relevant. So is that's sort of how you'd say that you're overcoming this? So obviously if the easy stories are dead, then it's, as you were saying, timeliness, relevance, and then just going that cut above in having that expert commentary, or that layer of here's the trend, and then being able to say, and here's why. Is that what's kind of really cutting through?
That's really spot on. I think there's stories to be had in every single individual niche. And even if your niche is a gambling niche, you have things like sports, you have things like lifestyle. Like we've seen a lot of expert commentary around getting a body language expert to talk about poker faces in like interviews and having success with that. And so there's always kind of workarounds, but that ties into the point of easy links are just gone. You have to have a strategy. You have to really understand your client, their niche, and then the publications you are pushing to, what are they interested in covering? Because in an environment where they would cover a lot of different things, there was just scarcity in the stories, but now they're getting hundreds, if not thousands of emails a day. They're not dying to get your story, but if you create a story that is worth dying for, then they will cover it.
Nice. So to talking kind of PR terms there, the headline, the attention grabbing email subject is easy links are dead. So good first headline from you there, which I think will lead us nicely. Actually, you were talking about the link side being dead, and then the brand mentions, which I believe dovetails quite nicely into your second trend and prediction.
Yeah, so my second prediction, which I think a lot of people wouldn't be surprised to hear about, but is huge for digital PR, is the future of AI SEO is going to be digital PR. Back a day, digital PR was just kind of a nice to have for a lot of businesses, but now when we see its impact on LLMs, it is shot up the rocket in people's priority lists, where it was always like, oh, we do the technical SEO, we create the content, we do some link building, and then once we have done all of that, invested all of the money, PR kind of gets the scraps. But now we're seeing that there is a direct correlation between the number of times you are mentioned on specific big publications and appearances for the same keywords in LLMs. And you'll notice I said the word mentions, which is kind of a dirty word in our industry, because people would always assume if no link, then there's absolutely no value. But this reminds me of when it happened with the no follow, where a lot of UK publications just have a blanket no follow for every link that they produce, and people thought, oh, so like a no follow link is just useless. But I think what happened in like any algorithm adaptation is that when all of the links became no follow started becoming the follow and started producing similar results for websites. It's a very similar thing now with brand mentions, but specifically in really high tier publications. So if you're getting a brand mention on a site that doesn't get much traffic in general, then it's probably useless. But if you're getting a brand mention on a Telegraph and you go to your client and your client's like, well, this isn't a link, there is a lot of proof now that if you've got a finance client, gets on the Telegraph and is referenced as a finance expert, this is helping feed into Google's knowledge graph on that client and their expertise. And we're seeing a lot of correlation between the number of mentions and links that people are getting on these high tier publications and their appearances in things like AI overviews and ChatGPT. And so with more and more focus on branding, I think eventually the more people that hear about your brand, more people searching for your brand, the more mentions your brand is getting on the web, the more trustworthy your site will appear, not just to Google, but to these LLM models, where when they start taking up, half of the search results now, you won't be stuck with just your website at the very, very bottom, under the ads, under the map, under everything. It'll be at the very top.
Well, we've seen our own results directly with that in testing that we've done, where talking to ChatGPT, making sure to obviously do it while signed out, so not undue influence. But when we're testing, we're seeing that when we're sort of getting an idea of what its understanding of us is, a lot of it is coming from so some of it will be kind of brand breakdowns where we've gotten mentions in listicles and full reviews. That obviously makes sense. That helps ground the LLM's idea of what we're doing. But then you'll see that they're supporting that with, we've got an idea of what they do, but the reason that we're kind of thinking that they're actually really trustworthy is you'll see the links coming in from when we've secured coverage from Forbes or MSN or NY Post or any of the other great coverage that you've gone out and secured for us. We're seeing that feed directly into the LLM. So I think the great thing there is obviously that digital PR is helping. It's helping AI SEO or LLM SEO, GEO, whatever you want to be calling it, but it's helping there. It helps with regular SEO because they are still, whilst it's not guaranteed that there'll be links, where there are the links or where there are the brand mentions, that helps for regular SEO. That helps boost your profile anyway. And it's just great for marketing as well. I think a lot of people kind of forget that SEO is a subset of marketing, or marketing is a massive part of your overall SEO. And at the end of the day, whilst it might seem a little bit antiquated, but just fundamentally being able to put on your website, as mentioned in Forbes, as mentioned in the Telegraph,
100%.
It's still massive, and it's still that's a trust signal, not only for search engines. We get a bit bogged down in search engines, but it's also just a massive trust signal that you can put on your own website and link out to the coverage that you've secured. So yeah, I totally 100% agree with you that that's definitely something that on our end with the SEO side of things, we're seeing your end with the digital PR. So yeah, definitely.
People forget. It's like they forget that once you've landed this coverage, you are getting referral traffic to your site. You are getting trust signals purely from adding that logo or that coverage to your own website. People forget that you can get really bogged down into the nitty-gritty of what a link or a brand mentions is doing and forget about the real world impact of when you see a website or when you see an expert on the BBC, on the New York Post. You naturally have more of an affinity to those brands and more trust to those brands because they have either provided you with some value in the form of a story or tips or warning of like something that's coming up, but also you realize, oh, they really know their stuff, and you kind of have that brand recognition cemented in your head from an already trusted source like the BBC, like the Telegraph. People tend to just not think of that at all, but AI has kind of forced people to think, oh, there's more than one traffic source that PR really helps with. So you're seeing more and more people just dump a lot of their marketing budgets into it because they want to be the first to explore this new traffic source. And I think this kind of leads me to my third and most important point is like, every smart marketer is investing in PR right now, and those that don't are going to be left behind, and they're going to have to invest a lot more money to catch up. Because
100% agree. 100% agree with the headline there. I'll let you break it down further, but if you just say that headline and leave it there, it just makes sense. Marketers have to be investing in digital PR right now. I think it's basically a non-negotiable at this point. But
100%.
I'll let you break down what because I know that we as fatjoe have had some findings on this as well. So it'd be really interesting to see what you've got for this.
Yeah, we've seen a lot of, over the past few years, we've seen marketing budgets shrink. So we decided to launch our own report to kind of see what specific marketing agencies in the SEO space were talking about, because that was not reflective of the agencies that we were working with. We were seeing more and more investment in SEO. And what we've seen is more and more people were investing money into link building, especially newer tactics like digital PR. And when we bogged down further, we saw that, number one, the more senior people in businesses were the people investing the most money into this channel. And this reflects directly the move to the move that Google and ChatGPT and all of these different AI models are pushing, is that people are now thinking about their brand first, while before they could think, all right, if I just create the perfect blog post and push a lot of traffic and links and maybe even ads to it, maybe that could help push me up the brand results. With a lot of the algorithm changes and impacts to affiliate websites, businesses are now thinking, I need brand, I need longevity, and the best, most longevinous, if that's even a word, traffic source that you can invest in is PR, because PR is one of those things that scales exponentially, where they're not just the strongest links on the planet going to your site, these are also the strongest eyeballs, because maybe you're struggling to get eyes to your psychology website or finance website, but once you're mentioned on a Guardian or a BBC or a Sky or a CNBC, suddenly your website is now in front of millions of eyeballs that you would not have had any access to. And people recognize that, algorithms recognize that, and business owners are starting to recognize this. So they're like, what if we just do digital PR more than once and we keep doing it? And suddenly you're not just seen as a one-time story, you're seen as someone who keeps popping up. Like a really, really good example of this is Money Saving Expert in the UK. They're kind of the strongest money-saving brand in the UK, and they've primarily built their entire business based off of PR. It was not SEO only that built it. It was a lot of eyeballs that Martin Lewis, as the face of the brand and as a brand, has built to their site. And every business owner in their niche is now trying to be the brand in their specific niche or in their specific locality, because we're seeing a lot of like local businesses, especially in trades, pushing a lot of PR work. And it's because when you start searching for businesses, eventually on ChatGPT, you'll be searching like, oh, best plumber in this postcode, and these models will be able to locate the most trustworthy plumbers in that postcode. And if you have this coverage and you have these nests in all of these different sites, eventually you will be known as the plumbing expert. And great news for you, really bad news for any other plumbing expert who has not invested the time, because now there's a really big gap. People are aware, there's trustworthy. You are now waiting for this plumbing expert to stop investing in PR, to either have an issue with their business so you can capitalize. So if people are looking to invest in PR, the best time to invest in it was yesterday, and the second best time is today.
Definitely pulling out from that survey that we conducted, and we'll make sure that there's a link to that in the description. We definitely, I think it was probably the most interesting bit, was breaking the responses down by seniority. And obviously, I think I would say that with digital PR, because it does tend to be more expensive, it's one of the higher end things that we at fatjoe offer. There is that slight bias there of, they're the ones who are going to have access to the bigger budget. You're not going to give your juniors access to a couple of grand to throw onto a PR campaign. But it was definitely noticeable to me that by far and away, by seniority, it was showing up as the most popular tactic. And I think that kind of reflects the more senior SEOs and marketers cottoning onto this as a particularly, important channel. I'd also say that, so for anyone who hasn't seen it, I've also interviewed Dav Nash, our head of marketing here at fatjoe. And a lot of these points are echoing, whilst obviously, Karim, you're here talking to me from a digital PR point of view, they are echoing across with what Dav was saying around general marketing. A lot of this, you're coming at it from the angle of using PR to build this brand rep, to overcome AI, to build a state where AI can come up with generic blog posts, it can come up with generic answers, it can help out even the journalists themselves with generic, it will always be able to provide a baseline understanding of a topic. But then, to go back to your first point, generic stories are dead, because you need to position your client as an expert. If these journalists are using ChatGPT, if they're talking to AI and they're going, what do you know about this topic? And then your client, you yourself, are being recommended in those, are being cited in those responses, then in the journalist's mind, even without you pitching a story, they're going to have an idea of you as an expert in your space. And again, and that's why we're seeing, to bring on to your third point, that's why we're seeing the smart money being invested in it now for, like I say, your brand, your regular SEO, and your AI SEO. And I think a lot of what you were saying there is really tallying with what I'm hearing from, so Vic, the brand manager here at fatjoe. A lot of what you're saying around building a brand and how important that is these days. 100% agree with you there. So yeah, have you got any kind of, we've had your 3 headlines there. Is there anything else that you've kind of got here's your you know, a little look ahead on kind of where you think it's going to go to? So that's where we're kind of at now. Anything that you've got on kind of where you think you're going to go to, or any kind of closing, you know, just a closing summary at all?
I think in general, PR is just, it's starting to boom more than ever. Every single time we hear that, oh, traditional PR is no longer going to be a thing, and digital PR is also no longer going to be a thing, and AI is just going to take over everything. We're seeing the complete opposite of that. And like you were saying with AI, the beauty of AI and hyper-tailored results is that there's also hyper-tailored questions, and that means hyper-tailored stories that you can jump on. And so for anyone that thinks that PR is a past opportunity, I think it's only the start of the journey for PR. So if anyone is looking to invest in PR, or even start pushing PR to their own clients, now is the time. For the business owners, the one thing I would always encourage is that when investing in PR, it's great, but always know that with any boom, there's a lot of people in the market that might not sell what they're saying they're trying to sell. So as you're trying to build a brand, as you're trying to gain more traffic, having some form of guaranteed deliverables, talking to your agencies about the impact on AI, the impact on SEO, knowing that you are putting your money in with a PR agency that knows where you want to go to is so much more important than if you are just thinking, oh, this PR thing is new, let me just dump money into it. So that would be the only caveat I would say. It's like, it's very hard to go wrong if you've invested PR with a good agency, but it's very easy to get tricked by nice metrics. Like some agencies I heard are using like email open rate or reply rate on emails as like metrics to talk to clients, which is quite easy to doctor or use, and it has absolutely no impact on anything. We're talking about brand mentions might be, oh, that's a new one to it, but I don't think email opens is ever really going to take off as the SEO metric du jour. The newest Google metric. Email open.
No. Well, thank you ever so much for taking the time to sit down with me today. All great takeaways. You're talking about partnering with the right agency. I'll leave it to outro Dan to seamlessly segue into fatjoe's offerings there. But for now, to say thank you ever so much. And yeah, again, cheers for taking the time. Karim Adib, you can find you LinkedIn, talking plenty of PR. So yeah, we'll include the link again to that at the bottom of in the description as well. So cheers, Karim.
Appreciate you. See ya.
Thank you. No worries.
And there you have it, Karim's top 3 digital PR trends, plus his expert analysis. Are you ready to dive into digital PR to secure those links and brand mentions, and to keep up with your competitors like we discussed? Check out our extensive digital PR services over on the fatjoe website. Before you go though, don't forget to like, subscribe, and hit the bell to be notified whenever we publish more of our interviews, pro SEO tips and strategies, and more. We'll see you in the next one.